Alright guys, so what I'm going to do is walk you through how to change your shear bolt. So in this case, what I'm going to show you is basically we're working on the chain. There's next to the chain there's going to be a bolt that locks into two plates. So if this one isn't working, this is going to be the number one sign. Is what you're going to be able to see is physically looking down from the tractor inside. You'll be able to see that your PTO shaft is spinning. And then there's another bar.
This is the PTO shaft here.
So you'll be able to see that this is spinning and that there's a bar that will be visible from inside right here. That will also be spinning, but essentially, so this bar right here, which is just back behind the PTO shaft, you'll be able to see that spinning, but essentially your auger will not be spinning and there won't be any snow coming out of your snowblower. So that's going to be the number one sign that that is this one. So the reason for that is you have two shear bolts. If it wasn't this one, then what you would see is the PTO would be spinning, but this bar would not be spinning. If this bar is not spinning, that's your PTO. If that bar is spinning, then it's going to be your chain shear bolt. So in this case, I'm going to show you that very example of what's going on. So turning on the tractor, because this is going to happen while the tractor is going to be on and your snowblower is going to be on. So I'm going to turn on the PTO.
Is spinning too. The one underneath is spinning too.
Must be just held by grease. So in this case, when this would happen, you'd have snow and the grease wouldn't be holding in place. But sometimes when you're in a dry environment like that, the grease surprisingly can hold it all together. So number one, what's going to happen, from inside the tractor, you've been able to identify which one. If not, then what you're going to want to do is this process anyways. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your key out of the ignition. Again, on the spot where you're going to access your chain, there's going to be a lock. So you're going to need the key to be able to access the lock. So I know right away that I'm dealing with this particular one. So again, inside my toolbox or tool bag, what I'm going to want to do is make sure I have my socket. I'm going to want to make sure I have my shear pin. So there's going to be two types of shear pins that you have at all times. One for the chain, one for the PTO. The one for the chain is the shorter of the two. So I'm going to grab another bolt. I'll grab one of each just to show you the difference between.
Also, you've got some gloves if you want to wear so your hands don't get dirty. And there's some rags to clean your hands after you change the bolt, just because there can be a lot of grease that gets in there. And just, then when you go back to operating, you don't want to get grease all over the steering wheel and whatnot.
Exactly. And to show you basically the difference between the two bolts that you have, the longer one is for the PTO, this one is for the chain. There's a significant difference, so in case you're wondering, the right bolt will be for the right thing, otherwise it won't fit. So I've grabbed out of that. Again, if it's nighttime, doesn't matter, you've got a flashlight, you never have the tractor on. These are very dangerous pieces of equipment, so you want to make sure that they're always off. So I've got my key, going to the back, got my lock, unlock that, put those both in my pocket. Now I'm going to be able to see inside here. So right now there's two plates. I've got one over here that has the actual hole of the bolt. You can kind of see where the bolt would go in. Now on this side, the actual hole is not there. I can see it's lined up over on this side. So some blowers, not all, are gonna be able to move by hand like what I have done. Others are gonna require the tool, which is either gonna be bolted on here or will be stowed away in your cab. But basically with this one, it's my lucky day. I'm able to move it. If not, the tool will do an easy job of moving it. So you just gotta line the two up. Then you'll take your bolt and you'll put it inside. So these bolts, I believe, are a 5/16 bolt. They're by 1.5 inches. So these ones take a 1/2 inch socket. So now what I want to do is I want to make sure I do this as tight as possible, because if I just loosely put it in, then what I would wind up is it would break probably within a couple of houses. So when this is going to happen to you, obviously I'm inside a nice warm garage, but you're going to be outside, you're going to be at the elements, so the least amount of times you have to do this is going to be for the better. So what you'll want to do is make sure you put in that little bit extra effort right now to make sure you're not having to go back in a couple minutes and do it again. So I've now got it starting to get a little bit tighter. I'm gonna go to the point that it's making full contact. So now I have it in, and it's all tight. So then what I'm able to do is, I know that my other bolt is good. I'm able to close this. I'll take my lock that I put in my pocket, put it back in. Now you're ready to blow some snow again.